So hi everyone, welcome. Thanks for joining. My name is Gary Taylor, and today I'm going to do a bit of a back to the basics session showcasing the multi-function capability of a Megaport. This is part of the ongoing series of Megaport live tech drop-ins. So for today, as I mentioned, I'm going to do a demo and show you how flexible a Megaport is, and I'm going to build the following. A Megaport, which I will then connect to AWS. I will then also connect to another device on the network, which in this case is an MCR in London. And then finally, I will create an internet connection, and I'm all going to do this on the same port. So Megaport is a networking as a service provider. Essentially, we provide the ability for customers to consume networking services in exactly the same way you would consume cloud services. So real-time scale up, scale down, delete, migrate, etc. So what makes the Megaport NAS platform different? Well, firstly, you can connect to all the major hyperscalers, over 100 data center operators, and over 360 service providers across the globe. It's secure. Your data travels on our private global network, bypassing the public internet. It's predictable performance. It's like having your own private fiber lines. You pay only for the capacity you deploy, since you can scale that capacity up and down on demand. You no longer have to worry about traffic spikes or wasted capacity. You can design, deploy, and manage it in a single portal. It's point and click. You bring your cloud service keys, and our integrations will make establishing private connectivity painless. We've spent more than a decade building a truly massive global network across 930 data centers, 400 plus service providers, and 26 countries. We've deployed kits in sites around the world, physically interconnected those sites, and then established NNIs with hundreds of service providers, including the hyperscalers like AWS, Azure, Google, Oracle, etc. Over the top of that network, we've deployed a customer software layer that gives you complete control of the network using our web portal or via code using Terraform or our API. This map is representative of the network we've built. Of course, this does not include in every single POP, as well as the underlying physical routes. So these are some of the more common ways of connecting. Let's get my mouse. There we are. Within the ecosystem, we most commonly see customers connecting from data center to cloud, then from cloud to cloud, and then between DCs as well. Many customers are also virtualizing their network POPs with our virtual edge, which is a compute platform on our network where you can deploy virtual network appliances from vendors like Cisco, Fortinet, and Palo Alto. It is bring your own license. And then for the demo later, I'll show you how easy it is to order a Megaport and then connect to AWS, connect privately to another service, and then order an internet connection as well. So as a summary, by leveraging Megaport, customers have the ability to deploy multiple services serving multiple functions. Beyond the cloud connections, you can build global layer 2 networks, you can build layer 3 SD-WAN gateways, and you can interconnect with partners in real time as well. So focusing on the demo, which I'm going to jump into shortly, as I mentioned, I'm going to build a port. I will connect that port into AWS. I will then connect that port through a VXC, which is our name for VLAN, to another service running on the network. And in this case, I've already built that as an MCR in London. And then I will build an internet connection all on the same port as well. And that's it. Over to the demo. If I just take it off the screen. So this is a dashboard. It's just a high-level view of the services that we have deployed. I'll just jump into this section here. It gives a nice holistic view of everything that is deployed and also everything that is available. So everything in black is where we have deployed a service. I'll just focus on Europe. Anything in blue is where we've actually deployed the service. So in this case here, that is a VLAN or VXC, which is not live. And then if we jump across into Asia Pac, all the green VLANs are services that are up and running and are live as well. We then jump into the services tab here. And as you can see, I've already built the MCR. And MCR is our name for Megaport Cloud Router. It's a virtualized virtual router. It essentially delivers dynamic routing via BGP into various clouds and various other services as well. is a front end talking to a virtualized router in the back end. So regarding the demo, I'll jump into that now. First thing we do here is we click on create port. And then I'm going to build a service out of Frankfurt, and I will choose FR6, FRA6. We click next. And here we have a choice of port speed. So 1 and 10 is the same, and then 100 is obviously a better cost. So I'm going to put that in, I'll call it live tech drop-in. And then that's just free text if you need to filter it for purchase orders. And then here we've got the options of the term, which is a 1 month. And then obviously for reduced rates, you've got 1 year, 2 year, and 3 year terms. If you want the service to be diverse, we can offer that. It doubles the price. And what it does, it actually guarantees you that we will deliver a diverse port on certain kit, and then the other port will be on fully separate and diverse hardware as well. And then the backhaul from that equipment back to our core network is fully diverse as well. And then if you need to lag it, we support lag of up to 8 ports as well. So let's just disable lag. We click on next. We click add port. And as you can see, that moves into the configured status here. And you can see that's in the design function as well. So I'll click on order now, and that will start deploying. It validates and makes an API call, and we click order. It starts deploying that service as well. So whilst that is deploying, I can actually go on building the VXC. So as I mentioned, VXC is Virtual Cross Connect, is our name for a VLAN. I'll build that into AWS. We can choose the icon, and then here we choose hosted connection. And I'm going to choose a local connection, which we know we're in FRA6 blue zone. And generally from a diversity point of view, we always do the same colors. So it's very easy to manage. Blue to blue and red to red. So I'm in FRA6, I click blue. If I chose red, then you can argue there's a single point of failure. So I'll click that, I click next. And then I'll just call this as free text. I'll call it AWS. And for demo purposes, I'll just do 50 meg. You can admin down the port, or the VXC if you need to. You might not want to have that connection live. And then we can actually just set any VLAN here. And then we click next. If you need to add resource tags, you can do that per service. So it allows you much better filtering and reporting capability as well. We click next. And then what I'm going to do here is I go to my AWS account and I take my ID, I copy the ID, and I go back into the portal and I click paste, go next, and we go add VXC as well. And then I'll click order at the same time. It does it, validates as well. We click order again, and this will now start deploying the service. Now, obviously, because I've ordered a port, I've configured a port, and because there's no light, the service is not live. So if there's no layer 1, layer 2 won't come up. So this will always stay down. But what you do now is you get a letter of authorization. If we click on that, and you would give this to GTT, and you then say, can you please order a cross connect from my co-location, my rack, into the Megaport rack? That's the location, and that would be built in a couple of days as well. And then the service goes green, as these services are green here as well. So as it is deploying, the next thing I will build is a connection privately. So we click on connection here. Just as a reminder, these are all the cloud providers that we offer. And there's a few other cloud providers that you can connect to via service keys. So click there, and then we click on private VXC. So this now is the ability to connect to another endpoint on the network. And these are all the services that are live from my colleagues around the world. And I'm going to choose GT. And I've built this already. It's in London, and it's at Verne Global. and it gives you the latency, so it's 11 milliseconds. I'm going to call this GT private spell. And for demo purposes, I'll just do 100 meg. If you do no term, that means that you can change the speed up and down. We can go up to a gig, and we charge hourly for that. So you can run it for a gig, and then you can bring it back down to 50 meg, for example, and then you get the new price at the new rate as well. The reason it's a gig only is because I've got a 10 gig port on the A end, and the B end is 1 gig, which means obviously in theory you can never be more than 1 gig of capacity. So it does limit me to 1 gig. If that was a port, then you can do a 10 gig VLAN from the A end to the B end as well. So for this here, we'll do a 12-month contract, and we'll just make it 200 meg. And we'll keep that up. And then we click next. And for demo purposes, I'm not going to complete this, but this is just all the layer 3 details that you need to submit. You'll give the interface IP addressing, the BGP details, and this is where you would actually deliver, I'll do it now quickly, 10.0.0.1, SAT30. And then this is here where you then add your relevant layer 3 BGP details. And we support ASPath prepending, we support MED, and we support BFD for fast failover as well. And then if you need to filter it, we support subnet filtering, so prefix filtering. And this is where you would actually set the filter categories as well. So I'll just go next. We add the VXC. And we click order. It does the same thing before as well. It validates. It orders it. And then we'll let it refresh. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look for an MCR. And just to show you some of the features that are available within an MCR, I'll jump into James. So we call it a looking glass, and this just basically gives you the route table. And here you can actually look into the route table. You can see if you're directly connected, if BGP is up, which it is in this case. Thank you, James. So it just gives you a bit more detail into that, the route table as well. And this just tells you exactly what is connected and the best route possible. So I'll filter that and I'll go back to my port. As you can see, these are down, obviously, because there's no light, so it's going to stay down. But what you can do as well, every Megaport can do 100 VLANs, and we've used up 2. You can oversubscribe as well. So if you're delivering services to other ports, you could do multiple of 10 gig VLANs if you wish. So now to build the internet, I'm going to click on connection. Before I do that, it's just worth showing you that obviously we're in Frankfurt. You can join our Mega IX as well. And because you're in Frankfurt, connecting to the Frankfurt IX, there's actually no cost for the VLAN into the IX. So you could run a 10 gig VLAN into the IX at no additional cost. You can connect to third-party suppliers, and I'll just show you Voxphone. I use them a lot as a demo. This is their provide telephony. You're in Frankfurt, and if you want to connect into New York, that's the latency, and you'd agree commercial terms with Voxphone. And if you want to run a SIP trunk, obviously SIP traffic is very low in capacity. You could probably get away with 10 meg, and that would be the price from Frankfurt into New York, and that would be the cost as well, 104. So the Megaport is extremely functional and very flexible, and you can do a lot of services just for 1 Megaport. But for now, I'll go back and we click on connect, and then we can actually build the Megaport internet directly into this port as well. We can only connect in Germany. Now we're in Frankfurt DLR, and you might have an existing primary internet connection physically connected into your colocation. So you might be looking at Megaport as a backup. So in that case, we would connect into Frankfurt, and because our network is fully protected. The path from DLR to Frankfurt is protected. So if there was a failure in the path, then we would reroute that internet traffic in the next fastest path as well. We could be a primary connection, or we could do a lot of choices here as well. But in the case here, I'll connect on into Frankfurt as the backup service. And for demo purposes, I'll say 20 meg. It's worth noting because we're metro. If you did the no term option, just like the VXC, if you did the no term option with a VXC, then you can actually scale up to a maximum of 10 gig. We can do 1 gig of traffic, and that's the price. And if we did 2 gig, the price increases marginally as well. What we can do is you might say, well, I don't ever need less than 100 meg. So I can agree a cheaper rate. I can sign up to a 3-year term on the 100 meg. That will get me my static IP address. And what we do allow is the ability to increase and go above that 100 meg. You just cannot decrease the capacity below that 100 for the term of the contract. So we're not stopping you from going 100 to 10 for an hour, and then you pay the premium, you pay the hourly bill for that extra capacity. And then when you bring it back down, you can't go back down below 100 meg. So for now, let's just say it's a gig of internet. Yeah. And we're going to do a 12-month contract, which basically means that we commit to a gig, but we can still burst above 1 gig as well. Click next. We add the VXC. We click order. As before, it validates. It orders it now. And while it's doing that, this is where the port shows up here. So as you can see it here, I'm jumped into AWS, into Direct Connect, and you can actually see the port, the VLAN being ordered from that Megaport in Frankfurt into DLR Frankfurt 6 directly with AWS as well. So you can see that's pretty much real time as well. So that is it from my side. We can give it a couple of minutes, but you'll start seeing that internet's connection being deployed. Any questions, please get back to me. If we jump into the dashboard, you can actually see the services that I've built now as well. And I'll filter that just for the services that have gone live. Go here. And that is the VLAN I've just built. And obviously it's not live because we know the port is down as well. But as you can see into London, this is where the MCR is based. There. And that's where the MCR is in Verne Global. And then going back to the internet, I'll go back out to Frankfurt. And here you can see that's DLR in Frankfurt. That's the VLAN to London. And then this is the internet connection going to Equinix FR5. So that can be your redundant backup connection to be your primary connection. You can run multiple internet connections. You can run a connection to Frankfurt and using FR6 as well. Now I'll click into the portal here, and that's it. So here, obviously the internet won't come up, but it should auto, and that's the IP address assigned as well. So that would be pingable, at least from the gateway side as well. So that's it from my side. Hopefully that was helpful. Any questions, please contact us, and look forward to seeing you on the next session.